Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Dr. Homebrew. We actually have real live homebrew on this show. Not only once, but twice. I'm very excited about
What?
that, in case you can't tell. Yeah, for sure, man. Not only do I have a beer that I want you guys to drink, or that you already have, but Cooper has a mead for us. And it's
I
something
have a
he's been
mead.
threatening
Yes.
us for a while now with.
I've been threatening for a while.
Yeah.
And now I have my mead.
And we have it, and we're gonna drink it. And earlier Cooper's like, "Oh, I'm really hoping that both of you could do a score sheet because we're trying to get out of as much work as possible." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I need a score sheet for mine. I don't. I just want to talk about it because it's interesting. But I'll try my best for you, Cooper. And
Oh man,
and I
you
did
did
it.
a sheet?
No,
Oh, slacker.
I tried my best, and my best wasn't enough. Wasn't good enough, man. But that's okay. That's fine. I can do it. I'll
Sometimes your
break.
best isn't good enough.
That
Yeah, that's
most
kind
the
of my
time.
personal mantra. I say that probably about once a day to myself. That was my best, and it was not good enough.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's okay.
Yeah.
Today, Alice had ballet, ballet class or whatever, and Taryn told me the story about like how she did a lot of these floor exercises, and she said it was really hard because I didn't take her. I was playing video games.
Hmm.
And she's like, well, why was it so hard? And Alice like, well, I just don't like, I don't know how to do it. I'm not good at it. And she's like, well, Taryn's like, oh, well, you should, got to practice. That's why we practice. And just the same thing, all the thing you do to like, glow up your kid, right? The big up them.
Right.
And she's like, but what if I practice all the time and I'm not perfect? I'm like, okay, well that's a different thing, and she talked about perfect, but it's just weird what kids like think about. Like we don't,
Yeah, it really is.
we're not perfectionists. We don't say like,
No.
oh, is this perfect? Do it again. We're not that way at all.
You do
So I don't
not
know where
strike
she's
me.
getting
That
it.
never crossed my mind that you were that kind of people.
No. And so it's a shock to find out. It's just really weird, like what she picks up on and
Yeah.
where that comes from. Like, what is that? But
Is that like her friends or her frenemies or something at school? Is that some bad teacher? Like, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It gets even better when they become tweens.
Yeah. Oh, the tweeds are the best. I love them.
Man.
hmm
Oh, yeah, Brian?
Not in that way.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
being the, oh God.
I'm
You
just,
it's-
think you have drama now? Get ready for drama.
Oh, good Lord.
dude, yeah,
And then-
she was having drama with one of the girls in her first grade class for the first couple months. I'm like, what the? How do we figure this out now?
Yeah.
She's 6. What happens when she's 12?
And here's the thing you don't think about until when you have kids. Tweens smell bad.
I heard Push used to talk about this all the time with his
Yeah.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tweens, young teens, they don't smell good.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, we get them started on deodorant, and they
Yeah.
learn that's just how life is.
Yeah.
So,
Don't want
and
to
then-
stink?
And then you get older and you don't need deodorant. I haven't worn deodorant forever, dude. Look, I smell great.
Dude, you need deodorant.
Do I really? I don't smell. That's the thing about me.
That's because you
move.
don't work hard.
I don't. I don't. Absolutely not.
Get out and do
Absolutely
a 11-mile run like I did the other weekend. Then you'll need some deodorant, bro.
Oh yeah.
Why
no, I
would you
don't
do
run.
such a thing?
Yeah. No, I just exercise and then a couple days later I take a shower when I itch too much. It's fine. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's get to the beer here. We're really just filling time for Cooper to eat some
meat of
some
it.
food,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now we're just
You don't want
hanging
me
out.
getting sloppy later.
Yeah,
I
eat
do.
some Cooper
I don't
Tots.
think your family does.
No.
I
Okay.
do. I want it because I don't have to deal with you. I just hang up.
It could
All
be
right.
a meltdown every episode.
Anyway, we have a couple beers. The first one I think we're going to start with, Cooper. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Is my beer.
Let's do it.
Okay, it's a brown ale, and there's a special ingredient in it, and you'll never guess it. We're talking in our little group chat. I'm like, you guys are never going to guess what this ingredient is, but I don't know if I should tell you or not. I ended up not telling you.
Yeah, don't tell us.
But it's a brown ale. It's one I've done before. It's the old Acme brown ale. But
Okay.
I also forgot an ingredient because Alice helped me get all the ingredients together, and I blame her for it.
Yeah.
So
Well, as you should.
yeah, so it's definitely a little wonky, but if you guys want to start out with that, and I'll give the recipe and obviously talk about the ingredient.
I can't get it open. It's not twisting for me here.
Mine, I had to get the little silicone thing out,
Wow.
and that it
Do
was
you-
slipping, and then I used my hand again. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to open this beer. I'm going to have to ask my wife because she can do anything. But
JP,
I can't. If I can't get the thing open, that's going to be
Oh,
Is this-
embarrassing. Then
is
I
there
got it
something
open.
we should know about? Is there a cause for this pent up aggression that makes you torque the lid so hard?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Brian's leaked, I guess, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was odd. I don't understand, but no,
It's
it's
still
just
carbonated. It's fine.
look, man. When
Okay.
you have the grip of a monster, I guess you don't have to worry about it. So Cooper hasn't even opened this stupid thing. So now here we are feeling. He's trying really hard too.
I'll be back.
I'm just stronger. Okay, all right. Well, Shar, since you have it open already, why don't you go ahead and start talking to us about this beer, please?
Okay, yeah, I really enjoy this beer. I think it's very flavorful and easy drinking, and it's it's what I want in a beer. I judge this, or am judging it as we speak, so I didn't write a score sheet, as
Yeah.
a 13B British brown ale, and that is by style comparison, more malty balanced than a British bitter, more malt from darker grains. Our malt flavor stronger than a dark mild, less roast than an English porter, stronger and much less sweet than a London brown ale. I think, yeah, to me that's exactly where this beer fits. It's I'm just kind of talking a little bit so that Coop and I can go through the guidelines together. Okay, got it open, good. So my thinking, both the aroma first. This beer is never going to have a giant leap out of the glass aroma. That's not what British beer is, by and large. That's not what this beer is.
Yeah.
But I don't get any off aromas from this. I get I get dark malt. I don't really get hop aroma. Hop aroma may be noticed in this style, but it's not a required element. Same as light fruity aroma may be evident, but shouldn't dominate. I don't get really fruitiness out of the aroma for this. This is primarily just a nice showcase of dark malt, and also a little bit of what I believe might be the mystery ingredient, but I'm going to hold off on saying what that is for a little bit. That to me comes across more in the flavor, but maybe a hint of it in the aroma.
Okay, interesting. All right, you're gonna hold off.
I haven't tasted it yet. He wants to test me.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
too.
Yeah, I'm not
I
getting
don't
any-
want to. I'm probably
anything.
wrong. I just figured it would be fun if we just both say it, and that way I'm not putting stuff in your head. And
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this beer is yeah, and we're gonna say it on the count of 3 at some point, right?
Yes,
One,
you'll be
2,
looking.
3. Try grasshopper.
And so this is an English brown, or what is it? An American brown?
Yeah, it's supposed to be an American brown, but I didn't say anything, and Char's judging it as an English brown.
Okay, I'm gonna judge it as American brown just because.
Okay, you do that.
Well, it's not hoppy enough for one.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I
But-
judge this as a British brown.
Malty but hoppy is like the first 4 words of the description of this beer under overall impression. But no, it's got a nice chocolatey nose with caramelly undertones. Not very nutty or toasty, but there is a little bit of hop in there.
It's a classic 90s brown ale.
A basic, yeah.
So it's not a modern American brown. It's a retro.
Okay.
Yeah, I could get this being maybe a little bit of a Pete's Wicked Ale.
I admit I have a decent memory, like a flavor memory. I don't remember what Pete's Wicked Ale tastes like. I didn't have a
Wow.
lot of it at the time when it was out.
Yeah, it used to be a regular go-to back then.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anywhere near as rich as this is. This is nice. It's got a
No.
good complexity to the malt. I'm digging for special ingredients. Yeah.
You're never gonna get it. I almost shouldn't have told you, but
Okay. It's yeah.
It's something that you won't. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what Shar has to say about it, because if he even guesses anywhere near what it is, I'm going to be impressed, because it's something I've talked about on the show before, wanting to use, but that would entail you listening to me.
I'm
And I
talking
don't
I'm
and I
talking
don't blame
myself
you for
into
not
like
doing that.
a slight like mapley kind of character, but not really.
All right. All right.
There's
Here's a-
something in there that's like sweetness kind of hints at that, but
Okay, how I'm just for me, how is the carbonation?
it's actually not too bad.
Right? Because that's
It
always the
has
thing I've struggled with giving beer to you guys.
has a good head and it's sticking around well. I was
Nice.
a little concerned because the growler filled, you must have capped on foam, but it was
Yeah.
an inch and a half down. It was
That's the problem with those little tiny
yeah, it comes up to the top and then
growlers.
whoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the Loma growler. I've seen this many times in my fridge.
It's true.
So it's probably not fenugreek.
Fenugreek.
Shall we do a 3, 2, 1 and
Do
then
it.
say
3, 2, 1, say it.
cacao?
Yeah, I was gonna say chocolate.
Close. So
Pale chocolate malt?
No, I did that is well here. Let me give you the recipe. Actually, where the fuck is it? Where did it go? American brown ale. There we go. No, that can't be it.
It's not very coffee like.
Did it
There's
not
a little
save? Well, whatever. Who cares?
Mm,
Okay, so it's a brown ale I've done before. So this is for a 5-gallon batch in the Robo Brew, the Brewzilla from More Beer. And it's 8 pounds of 2-row, 1 pound 4 ounces of Munich 20, 10 ounces of Carapils, which I forgot. Like,
Okay.
just whatever. I fucked that up. 8 ounces of pale chocolate, 7 ounces of Crystal 80, 4 ounces of Crystal 40, 2 ounces roasted barley, and then you got half an ounce of Northern Brewer at 60, and that's 5.8%. And then 2 rounds of Goldings at one at 30, and that's 0.75 ounces, and then one at 10, that's 1 ounce, and that's 5.4 alpha. Fermented with what the fuck was it? I forget, some yeast. I have no idea. And there you go. But the secret ingredient is cacao nib hulls. So, guys, I've been making chocolate forever, right? And
yeah.
for a couple years at least. And the beans that you can either get them, dehusked or still in the bean, right? And you have to sit there and fucking dehusk it. And you have all these husks that are they're fragile, but they still have some like rigidity to them. So you could think of them as like rice hulls, but they're fractured or whatever. And you smell them, and they smell like chocolate. But there's also this sour fermented component to them because it's a fermented product, right? You ferment the chocolate, whatever. So and you can make a tea out of them, and the tea kind of tastes like a pu'er tea if you're into like Chinese teas, where it's like kind of
interesting. The kind of mushroomy,
yeah, like decaying, whatever.
Yeah,
but with a hint of chocolate powder, really. So I'm like, I got to use this in a beer, and so I finally did, and I used like 17 ounces. I think I just basically all of what I had. It was a fuck ton. Because they're so light, right? You need a lot of them to actually get into the. So I put them in the mash, and right away the color was kind of noticeably on the redder side. And I don't know if that. Whenever I made the tea with this stuff, the tea has a reddish hue to it. So I think it threw the color off a little bit. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is the color so red and weird? And then I looked back, you can't really see on the camera.
It is kind of an orangey
brown.
I
think I forgot an ingredient or something.
So I call that Coop and I both won because cacao, chocolate. I say we won.
Sure, yeah. If I tell you that I had corn and you say and you guess that I had corn cobs, not corn, it's still the same thing, right?
It's more like if I guessed corn and you had corn cobs.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. The husk. I just ate the silk. I ate corn silk.
Just that stuff on the outside, green stuff on the outside. Yeah.
It's peas, but he only used the pods. Like,
when you eat a tamale, you don't take the wrapper off. You just eat the whole thing. Yeah.
No, just eat the dirt that the peas are grown in. But yeah, so that's what I did, and then so drinking this concoction, I didn't. It's hard to because what I'm trying to let me find a place to start. when you smell these, there is this really kind of deep chocolate powder smell, but it's light. If that makes deep and light, it's if you've ever smelled these, you'll know what I mean. It's something like that, but there's also a woody component. So you crack these open, they're not like bendy like rice hulls. It's like thin wood almost. It's like a wood shell. Not really, but kinda. It's
like an earthiness to them, kind of, or a...
Yeah, for sure. So what I didn't think about is any sort of tannins that would maybe leach from them. And I think that's what happened, because for me at the end of this, there is a bitterness. It's like a sharpness that I don't like. I don't enjoy. Like, I'm not drinking this beer at my house. I just don't enjoy it. It's actually better now that it's sat for about a month. But there's a distinctive, like, sharp acidic thing that I'm not pleased with, and I don't think it's bitterness. I don't think it's hops.
It's almost like the bitterness from the hops that you didn't put in there. So yeah, I mean that you didn't put enough of,
I guess.
Now that you
so
say
for me,
pu'er tea, sorry,
yeah.
I can't untaste that in the finish now. I get a lot of pu'er tea in the finish of this beer.
Yeah, and it's that kind of like red flavor. It's all I can describe it. Not because it's Chinese, but like, you know, the flavor is red, because the pu'er tea is amber. It's red, right? Whatever. Anyway, there's so much flavor that is in the component of these husks, these hulls, and I was hoping that some of that would come through, and it did. But I think it's astringent. So I think what I would do next time is the other thing is, I think it's competing with the chocolate pale malt, and it's hard to pick that up. So I think what I would do next time is maybe either throw it on top of the grain bed before I sparge, because I don't want the tannins, you know, in there, or maybe make a tea with it at a lower temperature, and then dump that into the boil kettle or something like that. But I think that there's a flavor component there that it could be really interesting. I thought maybe also maybe like a non-hopped beer, like a Gruit or something like that. I think that might be interesting to play with
this
as well.
As the bittering addition.
Yeah.
I like the I like the idea of adding it later in the process as opposed to the mash, which is probably where you're getting some of that the rough edge that you're defining, which to me it's not that annoying. It kind of balances the beer like a hop would, or hop bitterness would.
That's what I
in
get
a more modern brown ale. But
yes, and that's what has kept me alive at this moment. Is like, because it is acting like a hop.
Yep.
In a way that bitterness is kind of coming through. Like it's an astringent, but it's not astringent like you'd think. Like oversparged grain or something like that. It's a sharp. I guess it's a bitterness. Let's call it just a bitterness, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I'd like to taste that tea. I don't have experience with that the Chinese tea that you're talking about. So this does have a warm component to it. That's like, I get the red. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a different kind of flavor in the end that you don't really expect, but kind of complementing the bitterness, giving it this nice color, and I would finish this sample.
Okay, well that's
I might not drink the whole growler, but
that's fine. You definitely don't have to. Yeah, pu'er tea. It's PU and there's a hyphen ERH. Find it. It's aged teas, so you can get in traditionally they'll sell them in cakes, and you can get them. 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, and it's loose leaf, but it's fascinating stuff. I think I might have some. I just need to do a tea order anyway. So we'll order some, and we'll pass some tea around. But
I've got like a little $50 size pu'er cake that's been in like a little vacuum sealed bag in my pantry for like 5 years.
Oh man,
because I get there's if you a good place for tea, Yunnan Sourcing. It's in Oregon, and they have a lot of weird tea, and they are really good at describing what it is and talking about the origin and everything. And they've got like, I'm not getting paid. This is not a sponsorship for the show.
Can you imagine?
It's Yunnan Sourcing. It might be Yunnan.us, but just look up Yunnan Sourcing. Yeah. They'll have pu'er tea. You can get like kilogram size cakes from them that cost like $1,000 if you want that.
YunnanSourcing.com. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Love it.
They have all kinds.
Cool.
Any of that weird Chinese tea you want? You want white tea, green tea, black tea, pu'er tea? They got it all.
Hell yeah, dude.
I can see where the wheels started turning though with you. I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
is a product that is like it is fermented to create the inner product,
Yeah.
and this is something that I just throw away. And I don't like
Right.
to waste
Yeah.
things. You see these hulls and they smell good
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
this dusty, dark and light kind of like it's like the cacao without the middle warm chocolate, like kind of
Yes.
Yeah.
the edges of the the shell of the chocolate.
Yeah, and so I was curious to see where I'm still going to play around with it because I want to find a way to inject that smell, and you know I have to order some more shells or some more cacao anyway to make some more chocolate. So when I have some more shells or have enough, I'll pass that around too, and maybe we can do a tea like a tea with that as well, and you know you can smell what I'm smelling, and then we can maybe work.
That'd be a real good idea. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
And then we can pair it. We get to you actually have to give us some of your chocolate too, so we can.
I have tons of it, dude. I'll give it to you all day long or something. But anyway, there you go. That was my big plan.
Okay.
No, that's really cool, Jason. I really like this. And
It's fun, right?
you know, as to what Coop was saying, you know, I think trying not to waste stuff it's always a good idea in life. And I think it's just part of the homebrewing ethos, you know.
Yeah.
Try to use what you got and make something interesting out of it, and you sure did.
I'm always on the lookout for like weird, you know, what can you do? What can you put in here? As most of us are, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna make dog biscuits out of my spent grains. Got lots of protein in it and fiber. My dogs will be shitting like a pro.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, on that note, let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll work on Brian's mead here.
Okay.
Yep.
So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We are going to dissect and ruin and destroy Brian Cooper's mead that has been in the fridge, which I'm sure is not like necessarily the best place for it to be.
Well, it's been in my fridge for a long time, I'll tell you.
Okay, good. All right. It's like cold, but that's okay.
Might be a good thing for it.
So well, you need a fridge on Mustafar because otherwise it's going to be just way too hot for that mead fermentation. Get off aromas, off flavors. It's going to be bad.
I'm putting myself in basically hell here. So,
yeah.
You know, when the reviews come in, I'll be ready.
What's Mustafar? What is that? It sounds like a planet in Star Wars.
It is a planet in Star Wars. This is where Darth Vader's castle is.
Okay. See, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
where he battles it out with Ben Kenobi? Yeah.
That was in Rogue One. Yeah, he had his last battle in Revenge of the Sith, where he had, I have the high ground, Anakin. They have that, and then for some reason, because Darth Vader is deeply scarred mentally and physically, he built his castle in the same place.
Suddenly it smells like Mountain Dew and Doritos in here.
Oh god!
And
which kind? Cool Ranch or nacho cheese?
Oh, dude, Monterey Jack.
That's nacho cheese.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we doing here? So we were supposed to do a mead score sheet for you. I didn't do it because I was busy trying to play competition ranked in Marvel Rivals before the show. So
I'm logging off. I'll see you guys later.
I have a score sheet.
But Shar did.
Oh,
so I'll do my best. Brian Shar will start first as usual. We're also joined by the man David Teckham, who listeners from a long time have heard Brian Cooper and I extol, and Shar for the most part, talk very highly, sing high praises of David Teckham. He's a great judge and a nice guy and helps everybody get cramps in their hand from writing these friggin' score sheets for so long. So, Dave, welcome to the show. We're going to talk to you in the next show, but if you want to jump in, you know, you can.
He's also a mead judge, as I am, and he's been known to make a good mead or three. And he's also beyond that, we should just introduce him as the highest ranked judge on the West Coast. Period. Right.
I was gonna joke that Dave was probably like a Grandmaster 34,
Grandmaster 8.
Nice.
As of latest count, and going for 9.
That's a lot of exam grading, Dave.
Who's on the East Coast? That's you know your superior, I guess, or who's higher than you on the East Coast?
Gordon is towards the east, so yeah. I mean, he's He's got him by a few levels.
All right. Well, look, we got to take Gordon out then. That's what it needs to happen.
All right.
Gordon Strong won't be so powerful anymore. He's like Samson. His hair gives him power. No, it's his grade. It's his judge level. It gives him anyway. All right, Shar, why don't you lead us through the score sheet, please? We're doing a Mead score sheet. For anybody listening along, you can go online and Google the stupid thing, and it's up there. It's a little bit different, but slightly similar, I suppose, to the beer score sheet, which I like.
That's an excellent point. I was going to mention that just for our listeners who may not be familiar with Mead or Mead scoring. You know, the top of the Mead score sheet has something you don't have in the beer score sheet. There's 3 lines with different boxes: carbonation level, sweetness, and strength. And the top line is carbonation level. It can be still, which essentially no carbonation, but it can have a tiny bit. Pétillant, which can be sort of a low to moderate carbonation, or sparkling, which is kind of like champagne, which can be an aggressive carbonation. So
pétillant, that's how you say that?
I don't know for sure.
Petulant, but you know, it's like tetnang, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some people call me
don't know.
petulant. Yeah.
Yeah, petulant. Yes.
It doesn't pay attention to me.
This Mead is petulant.
That would be me.
No, in all honesty, I've always said that. I don't know why. I could easily be wrong. It could be pétillant. It could be pétillant. It could be pétillant. I don't know. So I believe it's a French origin, which is why I would always refer to it as kind of pétillant. Sweetness, dry, medium, or sweet. That's kind of a spectrum familiar to homebrewers. Strength, hydromel, standard, or sack. In all honesty, I did not look up the details of hydromel or sack prior to this because Brian declared this as standard.
No need.
And one of them I think is going to be real high in alcohol, and one maybe less so. But in fact, I'm not going to bother to we're judging this specific mead. Listeners can go look that stuff up as you see fit. So then you got bottle inspection, which we're all familiar with from the beer score sheet. The aroma part is bouquet/aroma. There's 10 points instead of 12 for beer. Appearance is a 6 point instead of the 3 points that we use for beer. I think because there's more possible variations of carbonation and so forth. That's got more points associated with it. Mouthfeel gets rolled up into flavor, which has 24 points. And the overall impression is 10 for a total of 50, just like for beer. So, essentially your score for Mead, like a courtesy 17 is going to be the same type of score that it is for a Mead that it would be for a beer. Not that you're getting a courtesy 17, Coop.
It's the soft, rollout of Cooper's scores.
You get the courtesy 9 for Mead. But no, and then 50 is the unobtainium, the platonic ideal of a particular mead, the one that is perfect in every way and cannot possibly be improved. So I started off, I'm not great at mead judging. I haven't judged mead for a while. I've told the story on the show when I judged mead at a competition probably 15 years ago with Roger St. Denis, who's a super, even his email address has mead in it. He's super into mead. And I gave something like a 21, and he'd given it like a 45. So literally I crumpled up my score sheet, tossed it in the trash, and told him to tell me what to write, because I didn't know a damn thing about mead.
Daddy, tell me what to write, please.
So I'm probably missing some detail here that Coop would like to hear, but yeah, did my best to give this a fair shot. I thought the bouquet was great. Honey was at a medium level. It dominates the aroma, not in the sense that it's just it's turning up the dial to 11, but it's really I didn't get much else in the aroma but the honey, which is ultimately, I think, what you want from a mead. That's your primary ingredient. There's a few there's water and the acidity and so forth, but you really want to showcase the honey is my belief with that. So I give that a 7 out of 10. Appearance, there's carbonation on the glass, and if you're listening to the podcast and not watching the YouTube, you can't see that from my camera. Anyway, it's clear, it's light golden color, really no carbonation, which it's advertised as still. I opened up the cap. There's no hiss at all. So it was what it was supposed to be. I give it 6 out of 6 for appearance. Flavor was sweet. I really enjoyed the flavor. It's sweet but not cloying. The honey flavor was at a medium high level. There's a good balance between sweetness and what I perceive as kind of an acidity. There's a little bit of a low alcohol noticeable, more in terms of just warmth than in flavor, but it's not super strong. If I had to guess, I'd probably guess this is probably somewhere in the 7%-ish, 8%-ish area. But that's a guess. Medium low body. Aftertaste is short and includes honey, but also something that's a little bit different that, not being a mead maker, I couldn't quite put my finger on. Maybe a slight acidity or something like that. I gave it 18 out of 24. I really enjoyed the flavor. Overall impression, I give it 8 out of 10 for a total of 39. I generally don't care for mead, but I like this. It's got honey character, but it's not super cloying. Or there's something that, for me, it's not cloying in terms of sweetness, but almost like an overpowering amount of honey that comes through in that sense, like the flavor and not the sweetness. And I don't get that with this. There's a lot of honey, and it's the focus, but I think it's well balanced. It's not over the top in any way. It's not super viscous. It's easy drinking. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, this for me is a 39 out of 50. Whether that's real, whether you get that in a competition, I have no idea, because I'm whatever would be lower than apprentice for mead judge, that would be me. But as far as telling you what I like and what I could compare it to the guidelines with, that's kind of where I landed here.
This is
we'll get you there.
This is super interesting. So this is Tupelo honey, right?
Yes, Tupelo.
And I've never had that. I could barely spell it, but I had to look up what it is. So I was before knowledge, BK. I was getting maybe a little cidery, but definitely like a little spice, like a little prickly, almost a heat. I was getting kind of like a cinnamony thing, but I wasn't really clear on that. So I decided to look up what Tupelo honey, what it actually tastes like. And apparently it's very, they call it buttery. Prized for a buttery sweetness with hints of cinnamon and fresh flowers. Tupelo honey is a unique honey with a greenish hue, yada, yada, yada. But, also it says, aside from the flavor, color, and rarity of Tupelo honey, this sweetener also has a high fructose to glucose ratio, which makes it stand out from other honeys. So I think it does taste really rich and maybe stronger in the honey flavor, maybe sweeter than it is, high in alcohol or whatever. But I think that's where the kind of spiciness is coming from. And after reading the description of the honey, I'm taking back the cidery comment, because it's not accurate. It tastes more. It tastes more organically, like floral cidery. So I'm chalking it up to the honey, like that. I'm getting a taste of the honey rather than some sort of flaw inherent within the mead making process.
Well, yeah, the BJCP description of Tupelo honey as a special ingredient lists the aroma as being apple, sweet, vanilla, herbal. So
okay, so apple fits right in. Vanilla, definitely, for sure.
I can get an appley note out of it for sure. And
I thought I got an appley note, and I'm thinking, nah, I'm imagining things. It's not a cider, but I got a hint of apple.
Yeah, and you know what? I think if we're going to talk meads, I think the appley smell for us, for maybe beers, goes straight to cidery. But I think that's our bias, right? I think that's we're trying to put a name on it. But for me, it's a different thing altogether.
David's showing off some Tupelo honey there.
You see it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I found those people's website, and I did not know. I thought Tupelo. There's a town called Tupelo, Mississippi. I've driven through there. Took a picture of a place that did picture framing and electrolysis. It's a bizarre little town, and it's there's a tree called, but it's not. There's a tree called the Tupelo tree that
That's
grows exclusively in Florida and Georgia, and it
Yeah,
only
that's
blooms like 2 or 3 weeks a year.
the white
they're
gum
also
Tupelo.
known as
That's where they get the honey from.
Yeah.
Ogeechee lime trees. They grow to a
Oh
height
wow.
of 50 to 75 feet and bloom from early April to early May in
Wow.
the South Georgia and the Florida Panhandle.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow,
crazy.
I did not know that until just now.
Neither did I. So yeah, the bouquet aroma, I going back to like the appley thing, that's what I was smelling, and I went cider, and it's not. It's apple. It's appley.
You
And
say
it's
like,
maybe
oh,
yeah,
here's an apple cinnamon cider. Drink this, and like someone will be like, oh, okay.
yeah. I mean, you can.
Well,
You
it
can
tastes like
definitely,
honey, but
yeah, you can definitely get that. So I think
Yeah.
the bouquet is great. I'd probably 10 out of 10. Appearance is a little cloudy. It's not really crystal clear. I go, let's see, 5 out of 6, and I'm not going to do any math. Flavor, it's a good mead. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I think your fermentation was good. I think the expression of the honey that I've never had is, it's from what I'm reading, the descriptions. I'm getting all those flavors. I'm getting all the markers. It is very, not very, but there is a lot of like still that sweetness left on my palate. But then again, this is a mead. It's not a beer, and that's okay to do that. I'd say I give it a 40, man. Why not? What the fuck? Who cares?
Woohoo, we're within
Okay.
one.
cool.
There's like a
I'll
little
take
like green
it. It is greenish, yeah.
tint to it, which apparently the honey can have as well.
Mine's clearer, but it's been sitting in the fridge, just sitting there. I had a hell of a
Yeah.
time clearing this mead, but I'll give you a little history on it too. I probably talked about this on the show before.
You mentioned it
entered it.
once, yeah. And Dave
entered it in
says it's like the most expensive honey. Or something
It
like
is very expensive honey, and I'd been sitting on it. So like my friend Horrenda, who's been on the show, does these mead day events where he gets a bunch of honey, big like 50-pound, containers of it, and divides it up so people can try get 10, 15 pounds of a different honey
Yeah.
and make a mead or whatever with it. So I did that in 2019. I bought 15 pounds of this honey from him, and it was not cheap, but I sometimes I sit on ingredients, and it sat on, above my fridge for years. And I finally, I got it in 2019 in the summer. I finally made it in the summer of 2023. I got 4 years later. The really nice thing about Tupelo honey is it does not crystallize at all. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I get it down, and I start like, I'm gonna have to warm this up, and it's gonna have all kinds of stuff. No,
Mhm.
like nothing. Like it just poured right
So
in.
it didn't. I saw that on the label. Dave held up the bottle of Tupelo honey, and it said it doesn't crystallize. And I'm thinking, it sounds like marketing bullshit.
And
But that's the truth, though. So your experience was 4 years later; it had not crystallized.
it is not false advertising.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
So I entered this in NHC, and I got, oh, hold on a second.
Uh-oh. There he goes. We're gonna have to be we're gonna have to wait for the story. I don't know, with bated breath. Oh
Ooh,
God.
wow, look at
He's
that.
pulling out his ribbon.
Yeah.
I entered it in Chicago, and I got a second place with it.
Wow.
So
Nice.
it
That's
scored
really
a 38.5 in the first round of NHC. But
Wow. So my 39 was actually not far. It was only half a point off. Well, okay. So maybe I knew no more about mead than I thought. Damn.
the mead that you're tasting is not that mead. It
Oh.
is the same mead, but I adjusted it. So I took what you're tasting is the back sweetened version of the mead that I entered.
Okay.
So like all the
Gotcha.
judges, when I made the mead, it was like on the low end of, basically on the low end of SAC versus high end of standard, and it tasted more like a standard to me. It's maybe a little more warming than a typical standard, but because you can feel it, it's pretty hefty. But I'm like, judges in the middle of a session, it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final gravity, I think it came out around 1025. I'm having to recreate my notes from just things I've told people because my computer died. But
Oh, damn.
it was a 5-gallon batch with 15 pounds of honey. I made it with German lager yeast, followed the Tosna, the organic staggered nutrient regimen. So it was on the low end of sweet for sweetness. I was like, it tastes sweet enough, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
To the judges, all the comments came back. This is a 38.5. There was a pro brewer that gave it a 37, and the Mead and cider judge gave it a 40. And they both said, they could use a little more sweetness to meet that. So I just decided to back sweeten it. I had one chance. I couldn't change the category it was in to call it semi-sweet, which as I more tasted it, kept tasting kind of semi-sweet.
Yeah.
So I pushed it up into the sweet, like, by the gravity and everything, the definitions. So sadly, I bought a really expensive honey to back sweeten it with, so I just didn't want to mess around. It's about this, like, they sell this medicinal. If you look on Amazon, there's like things called Dr. Tupelo, and it's like they have 55 plus TTS pure Tupelo honey, and it's like almost like, and it was like ridiculously expensive for 8 ounces of this stuff. I was like, I'm just gonna buy it and dump it in there. So I basically just, because I had really, the honey was really good. I didn't want to mess around. And usually when you buy, I don't know, but so I got 8 fluid ounces of this stuff. I put most of it in there, and I think I got it into the lower 1030s, I believe. So the alcohol is about 12.5% ish on this thing. It started at 11.21. Again, it was hell to clarify. I tried Biofine, super clear KC. I resorted to gelatin at the end, and so it's been adjusted a bit and took a lot of work to get it there. But hey, I have a ribbon, and I'm happy with that. So, yeah, thank you for the score there. I do enjoy drinking it, and I get a spiciness to it that is kind of partially probably from the alcohol, probably partially from the honey. Then that was another thing that in the final round they kind of knocked it down a little more into the lower 30s because they just found it a little too biting, and kind of the spicy was kind of getting at them a little much.
They couldn't handle it.
I could see that. Yeah, they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, they didn't understand like we do. Yeah.
What would you guesstimate or estimate your the alcohol in this is?
It's about 12.5.
Damn. Okay, so I underestimated that. It sneaks up on you here. It's like a Baltic porter.
No, the starting gravity was 11.21.
Yeah,
and it finished at about 10.25.
Okay, yeah, that's looking at. I pulled up the thing on the BJCP site. 11.21 is just edging into SAC territory.
Yep.
So I guess hydromel is kind of 3.5 to 7.5%, standard 7.5 to 14, and SAC 14 to 18.
I just didn't think this does not express as SAC to me. I was like, okay, no, that's just a standard mead. So I just went there, and the sweetness was kind of on the borderline too. I could have gone semi-sweet, maybe should have, but you know what? It was fun making a mead with Tupelo, and I'd always heard good things about it. And I would, despite the expense, I would probably do it again and learn from this one, which is my first Tupelo mead ever.
Hell yeah. I love that. Why the decision to go German lager yeast instead of like either a more classic mead or like a white wine yeast or something like that?
Yeah. When I first started making meads, my friend Roger St. Dennis would make these lovely orange blossom meads, and he used German lager yeast. And I think it was partially just because he had access to some yeast from a brewery, and he would just get it and get a ton of yeast and get it to go really good. And it made good mead for him. And I started out using the same yeast. And my first mead that I won a gold medal in NHC in 08 was an orange blossom mead with German lager yeast, and I've never been able to recreate that one. But it was a lawnmower mead. It was a hydromel that finished with enough residual sweetness to go semi-sweet. And it was just, when I tasted it in my garage, I'm like, this is mind-blowingly good. So
nice.
That one, and then I started reading the SRAM stuff, and I started reading and learning too much, and I started making it with wine yeast and doing, at the time early on in my mead making career, I was like heating it up to a simmer. And that's another thing that my friend Roger did, and it worked. You heat it and kind of skim off the foam that forms a little bit, and you don't really boil it, but as I kept reading, it's just like you don't need to heat your meat, your must, you can just just mix your honey with your water, use fresh, sanitize everything carefully, of course, but
Mhm.
and add your yeast with the staggered nutrient additions, and I started doing it that way. So this is like kind of a combination of the early way I did it. I didn't heat this one obviously, but I did the staggered nutrient addition, but I used the German lager yeast. And when I went down to San Diego, it seemed like Lost Cause Meadery was doing a lot of theirs with lager yeast. And yeah, Billy makes some goddamn good mead down there. Bro has it dialed in. So yeah,
Hell
if you ever
yeah.
get down to Lost Cause in San Diego, taste everything they have. Get the sampler and then get the alternate sampler the next day,
They have
because
they have an
it'll
alternate
wreck
sampler?
you. Well, there's a curated sampler, and I went there and I had that, and then the next day I just said, give me everything else in a sample size, because I wanted to taste everything.
Damn.
You couldn't taste it all in one session, or you'd be on the floor. But
I love that for you.
yeah,
I love that for you. All right, hey, let's take a quick break. Then we'll come back. We'll wrap it up here, and we'll get on to the next show.
Okay.
So stay tuned, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. Man, I'm clearing my throat a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
It's annoying. I don't know why. I mean, my kid came home sick last week, but I don't know. I was doing a lot of that lately, and I dislike it because then I go back and I listen to it when I'm editing. I'm like, do I really want to take it out, or am I just going to piss anybody off? Maybe people don't care, you know what I mean? But it's like my own personal. It's the last thing I dislike about myself, guys.
That really? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm lying to you. I'm a liar, everybody. I'm lying. Well, anyway, Coop, thanks for sharing the mead, man. I feel like we should do. We've talked about this before, but I feel like we should all be making the same thing and do a show about that. We got to get sharp brewing again.
I got to start brewing again, and yeah, I've never made a mead, and that might be fun to just one time, just make a mead or make a cider, and we should all just do that. And we can give something to Techem, and Techem can tell us how it's terrible or great.
So make a mead. The challenge is make a mead with only ingredients that you can buy at Costco.
Oh, God. I don't know, maybe.
Including yeast?
That could be fun, you know? Want to get some of those like Chinese pears that you can get at like the Asian markets? They're like $40 a pear.
JP's already getting creative.
Yeah, dude. I've always wanted to try one of those.
Man. Yeah.
I hate pears.
It'll be
pears are
the Brewing Network will buy it for you now.
No, please. Are you kidding me? Anyway, we're going to get out of here, everybody. If you are listening live, stay tuned because we're going to be talking barley wines with Dave Techem. We have 2 barley wines to drink. They're both bigfooted. They're Yetis. And they're from what years are they, Coop?
2014 and 2024. Because, why drink a barley wine even less than a year fresh? So
right. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. What else, Coop? Good.
I will mention that Dave and I do a little thing every year. If you live in the Bay Area and are fortunate enough to be here, when SF Beer Week comes around, we do a little thing called Beer Judging 101. And we like to educate noobs.
Nice.
And it's a really great primer. And sometimes in the back, there's a cup stacking competition that happens with these regular people that come year after year. And we just look to see what they're going to construct next with all the cups, because there are a lot of samples. We'll bring out pairings of beers, compare and contrast. We don't always necessarily tell you what the beer is or what to judge it as, but we elicit sensory feedback from the audience, and they're very good at throwing out descriptors that a judge would. Everybody's got an inner judge, and you just have to hone it and learn how to do it. So,
it's just Nicole Ernie in the back and doing different silly voices. It's a bunch of different people, but it's just Nicole going spicy. Oh, good strawberries.
So
now I'm Brian Shaw. Now I'm Brian Cooper. No, no, Cooper doesn't sound like that.
Yeah. So if you go to facebook.com/beerjudging101, that's our page there, and we're going to have a link up there for that. But it's a good judging education in a small group setting, very conversational and fun.
And SF Beer Week's coming up fast.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we're going to get out of here, folks. And like I said, stay tuned. And if you're not listening live, we have a myriad of other shows going on the Brewing Network. So check that out, thebrewingnetwork.com. Like, almost 270 episodes of this stupid show.
Yeah, and the ones with homebrew are the best. So email Brian@thebrewingnetwork.com if you want to get your homebrew on with us. Thank you.
Yeah, do that.
Mead, beer, mead, cider, sake,
Yeah.
wine, whatever.
Meat.
We'll drink it.
Okay.
Sure, dude.
On to the barley wines.
All right.
Yes.
Bye, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. Bye.